I'm so excited to bring you a very actor-centric panel today, not only on a show that is engrossing and beautifully impactful, but it's based on a true story. It's a new perspective on the Anne Frank story so many of us are so familiar with, but it's told with even more humanity, and you might not know if that's possible, but once you watch these clips and dig into this beautiful series, I know you'll be on the same page as me. Before we do, I'd love to bring up our wonderful crafts and our actors from a small light. First, playing Miep Gies, Belle Powley. Come on up, Belle. Playing Anne Frank, Billie Boulet. Come on up.
Thanks.
Ashley Brooke playing Margot Frank. Come on up. Our composer, Ariel Marx. And production designer, Marc Holmes. Come on up. Thank you. Good to see you.
Oh, I'm just checking as well. Did we go too far down the line?
I think you're perfect, as long as there's no gaps in the seats. All right.
Okay.
We'll roll the clips now, and then we'll dive in.
Hello. Hello. Did you stop by the apartment and see the cat?
No.
Did you see any of my friends?
No.
Well, who have you seen?
No one. I went home last night and this morning I just went to the dentist.
So you did see someone. You saw the dentist. How is he?
He's fine. He thinks you're in Switzerland.
Dr. Pfeffer thinks we're in Switzerland.
You see, our plan worked.
Pfeffer? You saw Pfeffer?
We're never going to the dentist again. Oh, the doctor, or outside, or school.
Oh, darling.
We don't
What are you doing?
exist.
Margot.
Don't say that.
Why is Margot on the floor?
She's having an existential crisis. No, I'm not. That's what Pim told me. Papa, you were talking about me behind my back.
No, let's not fight about it, please. There's not much time and we have to open the office.
Well, I have to pee, and if I have to pee, that means I exist.
Oh, and don't be so disgusting.
Oh, I'm just being human.
Well, go be human somewhere else. Miep and I have business to discuss.
Here's a shopping list. I need a chicken. Don't take the first chicken they offer you. There's always a better chicken. Margot, come on, what are you doing? It's almost 8:30.
What's the point?
There is none. Go. Margot.
Hurry, faster.
What should I drop it? On the ground?
Drop it. Yes, let's go. Margot.
Attention. Have your papers ready.
Oh my God, we're too late. The checkpoint is open.
Attention.
Harrowing stuff right there. That actually opens our pilot episode, and then the narrative is so beautifully weaving in life before the occupation. And Belle, you get to play such a vivacious and relatable, young woman who is driven, but she still enjoys going out to the clubs and, meeting new people. And the chance encounter with Jan really evolves into something very beautiful throughout the series. But can you talk about getting to show that pre-occupation life and how that establishes this character and really endears Miep to the audience?
Yeah, so in the pilot, you guys will see, but it flips between when Miep first met Otto. She was Otto's secretary, and they first met in 1933 when she was just kind of a young, early 20s, directionless, girl partying too much, newly in love, like going out, getting drunk with her best friend. And then it flips forward to 1942 after the Nazi occupation when the Franks decided to go into hiding and Otto asked her to be the person responsible to look after them. For me, it was so important to show Miep previous to the occupation. For me as an actor, like getting into this role, I think it's those relatable parts of her which made it so much easier for me and really humanizes her. Miep's kind of motto until the day she died was, don't put me on a pedestal, like don't call me a hero. I'm not this saintly like figure. I was just an ordinary person who did an extraordinary thing. And so I think it's really important for an audience and for us in playing it to show the lightness in the darkness, because that's the humanity and kind of the real way that these people dealt with these situations, and that's what makes you connect.
And I wanted to, yeah, beautiful, well said. You know, Ariel, you've got such a gift from Belle and also from Ashley on their faces, the tension that they're playing just gives the music such a, you know, an ovation to come in and really bring it home. And the score there we all just heard, you really heighten that with electronic and the strings. But then the rest of the first episode, you get to sort of encapsulate the good years, you know, the life before the occupation. Can you talk a bit about that? And I should also mention the soundtrack dropped Friday. The score album is out now for Ariel. And we're so glad that that's out for the audiences to be able to listen cue by cue.
Yeah, I mean, to Belle's point, that the whole, it's evident in the writing and the performances and the direction, just how kind of lived in and accessible they wanted to paint Miep. And so that extended to the music as well. In terms of pre-war occupation, of making sure that there was nothing too polished, that was full of life and improvisation and, you know, charming imperfection. So there's a lot of that, a lot of playfulness in the music, though you didn't just hear that. We had a more contemporary approach to tension, of wanting it to feel not overly polished by a orchestral ensemble, but to really make use of more contemporary elements to really put you in the shoes of the circumstances and the stakes.
Miss Ashley playing Margot, how does it feel seeing that with the score, with the cinematography, and thinking back to the day when you got the sides and you said, okay, let's give this a go. I think this could be pretty magical.
It's crazy because there's a whole nother element that's added when incredible people are working and composing and doing the set design, and you're working with incredible actors too. So, I mean, it was just an incredible experience all in all, because everyone working on this project was really incredibly talented at what they do.
I really love this sort of different energy that is showcased between Anne and Margot. And Billie, you do such an amazing job of bringing just a fresh perspective to the part. Can you talk a bit about your vision for Anne and talking with the producers, showrunners, and you guys building that character together?
Yeah, well, for me, when I first started auditioning for Anne, I never read her diary, so I didn't truly know who she was. I thought she was this shy, reserved girl, and then when I read the diary, she is the complete opposite. And that is truly what I fell in love with, was her personality and her fieriness. So to bring forward to this role, that's really what I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring her truth and her passion that she has. And what went hand in hand is the writing on A Small Light did the same thing. They had the same idea of bringing the truth to her and taking away this facade that so many people think she is and showing her true self, which I think is amazing. I mean, that's what I completely love about her. So when I had, meetings with them and when I was researching Anne, I just really went into her diary and tried to pick up on all bits of her personalities that were just incredible and made Anne Anne. And that's what I took with it, and I just started building it from that point, and the writing just really helped me as well. And, it's great having Ashley as well, because Ashley's a great Margot, and it honestly helped me so much to create that sister relationship on screen and off screen. But particularly on screen, it was amazing to play off her because they are so different. But I never felt like I was doing too much or that she wasn't like giving me back anything. It just helped having a good relationship like that. So just really, the cast was a great cast. Billie and I clicked well from the beginning.
I got that sense, and it's beautiful when that comes across on the screen. And Belle, of course, you're balancing all these characters in the show, and Liev, the chemistry there is so amazing as well. You just get this mix of being almost a mother, and to the younger characters, and then there's this partnership that at first, Mr. Frank, is such a superior, and then you guys become equals, and you see that in the relationship. It's very nuanced, but it's a very beautiful depiction. Can you talk a bit about working with Liev in those scenes and the evolution of that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, none of us were there at the time, in real life, so we don't really know what Miep's real relationship was like with Otto, so I interpreted it just as they were like best friends. I really think that's an incredibly contemporary take on it. And I do think that Miep was a very modern woman for her time. And I think there's something really special and interesting about a woman in her 20s being like best mates with a man in the 40s who was like 20 years her senior. She always called him Mr. Frank, and we know that from the diary and from Miep's own autobiography on the events. It's called Anne Frank Remembered, but I interpreted it like kind of sarcastic, like, all right, Mr. Frank. So, and me and Liev, we got on so well from day one. We have very similar ways of working, very fluid, organic, kind of see where the scene takes you and try it loads of different ways and don't get married to just one way of doing it. So I think, I agree. I think those scenes are really special, and I didn't actually realize this when we were doing it because I was so in it, but since I've watched it back, I think that Liev's performance is so beautiful. It's something so quiet and reserved, but also incredibly warm and arresting about it. And I think it's a great compliment to Miep, who's very kind of outspoken and loud and chaotic, and I really do think those, I'm proud of those scenes, and I adored working with him so much.
This is a great transition because you said you were so in it on set, and a lot of that is the energy from the actors, but a lot of that is Marc creating this environment. Hats off to you, sir, for the beautiful work on this. Can you talk about the timeline, how much time you had, the setups that you have to create, building the team, and just pulling off, a miraculously cinematic look for this?
Well, we had 14 weeks from the start of the prep. Then we went to the Anne Frank Museum all around Amsterdam, got a chance to do some decent recceing and research and stuff. And the building, exists, the rooms exist. They've been redone for the museum, so we had to take it back to where it would have been at the time, and also find a way to, because they're quite small rooms, but to make it work with the aspect ratio and get a film crew in there, slightly changed the proportions and slightly made it more friendly to work in, walls floating out and making the spaces more interesting and composite so that the camera can follow them through and they can move more naturally and exist in it in a more natural way. Then with the colouring and the aging, because they were stuck in there for 2 years, they didn't go outside for 2 years. As the series progresses, we aged it down more, took the edges off the tables, made things greasy, dirty, so that you could feel that they'd been stuck in there for a long time, and it just helped them all, just exist in the place and frame the storytelling.
Yeah, the cinematographer had to have loved you when you make those rooms much more accessible.
No, sure, it was really good. He totally got it, and there was a lot of we played some tricks, adding extra lights, extra doorways, extra windows, so that it was multi-purposely to be able to light, but without taking the ceilings off or removing too many walls. So it was an easy conversation to have with him to get him to do it, and he's not a guy. He likes practical lights, so it was all in there. there waiting for them just to turn it off or on and pick and choose what they wanted to do. So no, that wasn't really an issue at all.
Episode 6, Boiling Point, it says it all in the title, but it's just such a beautiful chess game of tension. And Belle, I know you love that episode particularly. When you're being investigated and the house is being checked at the same time, there's a cross cut with the kids sort of being evacuated by the soldiers. And Ariel, the score is just beautifully encapsulating that feeling of dread and suspense. When you see that cut with your scene, because oftentimes the scene is just as it is, when you see your work, Belle, intertwined with that, it's like the scene takes on a new life, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the opening of episode 6, we see some resistance fighters who were helping nurses in Amsterdam basically save Jewish babies. And they were replacing the Jewish babies with dolls before they were sent off to the gas chambers. And then they were taking the babies past Nazi officers and handing them to someone in a tram who would then take them to safety. And when I read the opening of this episode, firstly I was just weeping. First thing I did actually was call Tony, our showrunner, and say, surely this didn't actually happen. Like, it's crazy, it's unfathomable. It's just crazy what these resistance fighters did in the face of hatred. And so I wept. And it's hands down my favorite. They're my favorite scenes in the whole show. The pacing of it suddenly feels like you're in like an action movie, and I think that's really giving these resistance fighters kind of like the platform they were in an action movie. Like, it was insane what these people were doing, and yeah, I just love that whole episode. Tony Phelan, who's our showrunner, he directed episodes 6, 7, and 8, and he always says he saved the best ones for himself, because episode 6 really is the best episode, I think. Yeah, the tension is just so high.
I know you have a few years on Ashley and Billie, but you're just 3 of the most promising young actors that are working today, I have to say. I think we should all give a big round of applause for the cast, for their incredible work in this. There's so much excitement to come. And of course, Ariel Marx for score and Marc Holmes production design. That's all the time we have on this panel, but we're so grateful for you guys to come in and participate. A Small Light, they're having a wonderful event Monday night, and it streams everywhere Tuesday. The finale will be out. Be sure to tune in. Thanks, guys, so much.